Hello, Sagittarius, and welcome to my channel, Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, looking at your connection to the person that you are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. We are looking at all three sides of this connection. We've got your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it, the concept being that there are three sides to every story. So we are looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle, looking at what is the purpose of this connection and what is the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. As always, I've gone ahead and pulled the overall energy for the reading and clarified those messages, but I do have a different tarot deck for each side of this connection that we'll be diving into. In addition, I have the overall theme for the reading as well. That's something new that I've recently added into my readings, and we'll go over that in just a second. And then I have the advice deck already shuffled that we'll be using in the extended. Any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading with me is in the description box below. Last thing, please remember that these are general readings. They are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do remember to take what resonates and helps your personal situation and leave what does not. On that note, these energies can absolutely be swapped. So if you resonate more with the energy to my right than to my left, just know that is totally fine and totally normal. Again, the point is to take what resonates and leave what does not. For today's readings, we will have Cassie joining us. Cassidy, but she goes by Cassie. We don't know how, but she hurt her back leg, and so we're trying to keep her pretty immobile. But I didn't want to keep her in a crate all day because it makes me feel guilty for some reason. So she's going to be joining us. She doesn't love this little pouch thing that we have. Her sister likes it a lot more, but she's going to have to deal with it because I don't want her getting excited and running around and putting weight on it. So she will be joining us today. She's going to have a good time. It'll be fun. All right. Let's go ahead and jump in. All right, Sagittarius, on your side of this connection, you have second option with the Five of Cups. I feel like, and I will say a theme in this week's readings, or not this week, this round of readings, has really been about priorities and like feeling like an option. This just isn't the first reading that has come through in, and I actually feel like this card has come out a couple of times this week. But anyway, what I'm getting at is I do feel like this person has continuously left you disappointed. And I feel like the reason for that is because I feel like they've made you feel like an option, or certainly not like a priority. Maybe they've made you feel like a second option to something else, whether that be work or potentially someone else or friends, or, even if they're dealing with an addiction. I do feel like you've been made to feel like kind of this second option here. Now, this person, they have lies and partial truths with the Justice in reverse. So I don't feel like this person is being fully honest with you. Now, I don't necessarily know. Sometimes we're not honest with ourselves, which means that we're not honest with others, and it's not necessarily like intentional deception. But with the Justice in reverse, what I'm seeing is this person is not taking accountability, whether it be for their actions, or maybe they're telling you what you want to hear, but not following up with, following through, essentially. And I just feel like it's like, I'm being honest, if I'm going to piece together these energies, it feels like this person is telling you what you want to hear, but then not prioritizing the connection. Maybe saying, yeah, I'll prioritize it, or you mean so much to me, or whatever the case might be, but then just not following up on that. In between this connection, you have learning to forgive with the Seven of Wands in reverse. I don't necessarily just feel like this is about forgiveness of this person. If you watched my channel before, then you've definitely heard my spiel on forgiveness and how it is more of an act of self-love than it is an act of doing something for somebody else. And in addition to that, I also feel like this message is not just about forgiving this person, but also about forgiving yourself. Oftentimes, when someone lets us down time and time again, and we, create kind of a pattern of that, there becomes a pattern of that, then we can start to hold it against ourselves and feel, upset and angry and resentful towards ourselves for letting it happen. And so a lot of times when we're in these kinds of connections, we don't just have to try to get to a place of forgiving the other person, but also a place of forgiving ourselves. So definitely a message in the truth of this connection about that. The overall energy for the reading is release. I don't necessarily know, like with the knife, if it's like cutting this person off or releasing yourself from this cycle of disappointment that I feel like you've been in here, or releasing yourself from the guilt and the shame and the resentment that you have towards yourself. Maybe it's all of the above. We'll definitely see as we jump into tarot. So, you doing all right, baby girl? She's like, no, let me be free. She's our crazy one. I think that I had August, our other one. These are the two. She's one of the two that we rescued off the side of the road, planned on fostering and ended up owning. So I think her sister joined us in one reading sometime. But all right. This is for Sagittarius' side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. This is Sagittarius' side of this connection, please. Sagittarius' side of this connection. This is Sagittarius' side of the connection. Two of Wands in reverse. Lots of overthinking. I feel like, well, okay, Two of Wands in reverse, Emperor in reverse, and Nine of Cups in reverse. My goodness, Sagittarius. Okay. There's the Five of Cups. Five of Wands and Five of Cups, which is what you have right there. But there's a lot of messages in there, so I'm just going to focus on these. I feel like this connection has started to affect you, like, on a mental and emotional, like a deeper level. Like, it started to have a deep, pretty negative impact on you. This cycle that you're stuck in with this person. I feel like this is what has been really hard to break out of, because the Two of Wands in reverse, it can be like obsessive overthinking. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean to me that you are like obsessing about this person. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. But sometimes when we're dealing with something and we're stuck in this this anxious cycle of being anxiously attached to somebody else's words, movements, choices, decisions, it can feel as if we cannot like stop thinking about it. We start wondering what we're doing wrong. We start wondering how we could be better. We start wondering why they won't choose us or why they won't prioritize us. We go down these rabbit holes of trying to understand like them in a way. Now, I feel as if this connection and where things are at right now, because you do have the Tower underneath this world, I don't feel like this connection is in a super positive place right now. And I feel like there is a lot that you have been trying to understand about it so that you can get to almost like a place of peace. But the more that you try to understand, the more lost I feel like you start to get in terms of like understanding this person. There's something I actually saw right before this reading, and it kind of hit me different. And it makes sense now because I definitely feel like I was supposed to bring it forth in this reading. And it was just talking about how we have to start to understand that most people haven't done the work that you are doing, that we have done. Most people don't go to therapy. Most people don't choose the path of self-awareness. Most people don't try to face traumas and painful experiences. Most people try to do whatever they can actually to avoid doing that kind of work. And when we try to understand somebody who hasn't done the work, who hasn't worked on themselves, who doesn't take accountability, who isn't self-aware, it can be very confusing for us because we would never do that to them. And so sometimes we don't understand that it's not necessarily that what they're doing to us, it's also what they're doing to themselves, which I feel like we'll get to when we kind of dive into this person's energy. But I just feel like there's a lot more to the story than what meets the eye. And the more that you try to like overthink about it, the more lost and confused and upset and disappointed and anxious that I feel like you start to get. Sagittarius' side of this connection. And I feel like that's the cycle. That's what you're wanting to release yourself from. Hey, baby. So Sagittarius' side of this connection, please. Whoa. Star in reverse. Hangman in reverse. Ace of Pentacles. 8 of Swords in reverse and 2 of Swords. I kind of feel like you feel that I don't necessarily know if you feel like you're at a crossroads with this connection, but I do feel like there is some sort of decision that you feel needs to be made. I feel like what it is you're tired of how things are, and you know that something needs to be done about that. Now, I don't necessarily know if you know exactly what decision you're leaning toward, or even what you should do, or even how you should approach it, but I do feel like you are pretty over how things are and have been, and you know that they're like something has to give, something's got to give. Like that's what I feel this energy is portraying. Now, the hard thing with the Hangman in reverse and then saying that Emperor in reverse is I feel like there's a part of you that's having a hard time letting go and allowing things to be what they are and will be. And that's probably one of the most difficult things for us to do in connections. You know, we cannot control other people. We cannot control what somebody else does. What we can control is what we do with the information that somebody else gives us about their behavior, about their level of emotional intelligence, about their level of emotional availability. You know, we cannot control those aspects of them, but we can control what we do with that information. And I feel like there's kind of what this is kind of talking about here is this is less about knowing what to do and more about embracing how things are, looking at things through the lens of truth, and making the decision that is going to be best for you in the end. I feel like when I talk about that on my channel, you know, doing what's best for you, putting yourself first, I often, and pretty much every time that I talk about it, I get a comment talking about how doing what's best for us is not the only goal. You know, self-fulfillment isn't the only point. We are also supposed to be here to help others. And I do agree with that. But I also feel like it's important to understand that if we don't fill our cups up first, if we don't take care of our mental, emotional well-being first, we don't have anything to be able to give to other people. And so taking care of yourself and doing what's best for you in connection, setting boundaries, making sure that you're choosing yourself, you know, making sure that you're standing up for yourself, those things are actually very selfless. We're just kind of used to them being selfish because we're so used to sacrificing our needs for others. So something's got to give. And you know that. You're tired of this disappointment. You're tired of being an option. But I feel like you also aren't necessarily sure what to do. Hi, you're safe in there. You can't fall. I feel you flinching. Let me readjust you here. You feel a little bit better. All right. This is for Sagittarius' side of this connection. Oh, your breath smells. To the person they are dealing with. This is Sagittarius. Ooh. Sagittarius' side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. So this connection is in separation right now. Whether that means like you guys are actually in separation, like physically, like there's been a breakup, or emotionally there is this distance, like even if you live together, even if you're still married, there just feels like there is, these two energies are not on the same page. Stop looking at me with those eyes. Listen, I wish you weren't hurt either, but and I feel like this separation has been very, very challenging for you, Sagittarius, because I feel like it's put you in a level of an unknown that is very difficult to deal with. It's been very triggering, very frustrating, and I feel like maybe through this separation you were kind of hoping things would change. Maybe this person would change, maybe, you know, this person would come to their senses, or maybe they would finally do the work, or maybe they would, you know, finally be able to open themselves up to vulnerability. But I just feel like that hasn't happened. Now, I also feel at the same time like this person is telling you that they are, or telling you that, they know they need to, or like being like, I don't know, it just feels like they're telling you a lot of things to keep you kind of hanging on, but then continue to disappoint you. And I feel like there has been this pattern that has been created here, and that's why I feel like you're at this point where you're like, something's got to give, something's got to change. I can't keep going like this. I can't keep doing this. Yeah. Okay. Sagittarius's side of this connection. Sagittarius's side of this connection, please. It's funny because her sister would stay in this thing all day if she could. She loves it. She loves being like right next to me all day. She's very independent. She is hating this, I can tell. Sagittarius's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. These cards are feeling funky. This is for Sagittarius's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. This is for Sagittarius's side of this connection, please. Sagittarius's side of this connection. There it is. There you are. You have taken on this person's burdens as your own. I feel, Sagittarius, a lot of what this message is saying is, and this Queen of Wands, it can apply to your energy, whether you're male or female. We all have feminine and masculine energies within us. It doesn't matter. But what I'm getting at is, it feels like, because this is the need to kind of put down, drop the burdens of others. I actually feel like you're in reverse, because I do feel like you've built some resentment here up for this person, because I do feel like you've done everything that you can for them, and you've given a lot to them, you've prioritized them, you've showed up for them, and it just feels like they don't return that. They don't return that kind of energy to you. Now, I feel like they don't take accountability for the fact that they don't do that either. Maybe they're saying, oh, I'm doing the best I can, or nothing I do is ever good enough, or, making excuses as to why they can't show up for you in the way that that you deserve, ultimately. And I'm not going to say that these person's excuses aren't valid, but what I am going to say is that you've been accepting the bare minimum in order for the hope of something more. You've been accepting a lot less for the hope of something more. And that right there is the cycle with the world and the Eight of Swords, because there's a part of you that believes you have to. And I feel like, I just feel like there's this part of you that has been hoping that things would change for a while, and they just haven't. And the reason for that is because you're waiting on somebody else to change before you allow yourself to be loved and happy. And that is not a fair position to put yourself in. Somebody else's emotional unavailability, somebody else's healing, somebody else's lack of empathy, if you will, whatever the case is, it is not your burden to bear. And we are not here to change or to fix anyone. And if someone is not capable of meeting you at your level today, then that person might not be supposed to be in your life. Now, that's not what I'm saying is happening necessarily, but what I am saying is that you are building up resentment, not just for this person, but also for yourself, Sagittarius. That was something I been talking about this a couple of times in my readings this week. About 4 years ago, I was in an emotionally abusive relationship for 7 months, and this is going somewhere. It ties into the reading, so bear with me. And after that relationship ended, I gave and I gave and I gave. Eventually, I had nothing left to give. He ended up leaving, going somewhere else, destroyed me. And I built up so much resentment for him, because during that relationship, I knew I was getting treated poorly. And I stayed anyway, because I was hoping he would change for me. I was hoping he would choose me. I was hoping that he would get his act together for me. Obviously, that ended up not happening until he took pretty much everything from me and left, because I had nothing else to give. My cup was officially empty, couldn't provide anything for him anymore. He left. And I had so much anger, so much resentment for him. And what ended up happening was I wasn't actually able to fully heal from that relationship until I recognized that all of the anger and all of the resentment that I had for him was actually anger and resentment that I had for myself for staying and investing in someone that treated me so poorly, being fully aware of the negative treatment that I was receiving. And so that to me is coming back to this truth of like learning to forgive not just them, but also you. And I feel like the first thing I hear when I talk about someone treating you poorly and you needing to forgive them, I hear, oh, they don't deserve my forgiveness. No, maybe not, but you do. You deserve your forgiveness, because the more anger and resentment that you hold on to what someone has done for you, the more that you feed into that negative energy and you keep yourself attached to it. The more you keep yourself in the suffering of that energy, um, as long as, and I mean, until you get to a place of kind of making peace with it, which can happen. Sagittarius' side of this connection, I feel like this is about you really releasing yourself from this very painful cycle here that you have been stuck in. Sagittarius' side of this connection. Waiting on somebody else while sacrificing your needs, your desires. Waiting on somebody else, actually this, is very much something that you're used to. I feel like maybe your whole life, or at least a good portion of it, you cannot get out of here. I'm sorry, you certainly can't jump down. Or at least, a good portion of it has been waiting on somebody to change, waiting on somebody to get their act together, waiting on what are you doing? Waiting on somebody else to finally show up for you. I feel like that is something that you are so used to doing, and something that is very, very comfortable for you. It's also a way that we often tend to try to maintain control of our relationships. At least when we're hoping for somebody to change, or we're hoping for some sort of potential, at least there's still hope, right? At least there's hope that we can see, that we have direct control over, that we can hold on to. When we lose that potential, even though we're not necessarily losing anything except for what something could be, to us, it feels like we're losing the opportunity altogether, that whatever it is that we were hoping for got taken from us, and we're never going to have the option to have that again. And I feel like that's a lot of what you're kind of dealing with, and where you're at in the crossroads of this connection is, if I'm not waiting on someone else to change, then someone will never meet me where I'm at. And that is so far from the truth. We are able to attract into our lives the relationships that align with us. But in order for us to do that, we have to stop seeing people for what they could be, and start seeing people for who they show us to be. Stop expecting people to meet you where you are, and start accepting where they're at, and then aligning your movements, choices, and decisions accordingly. What is it? Like, let someone be who they are and adjust your proximity accordingly. Because right now, Sagittarius, you have gotten yourself stuck in a very painful, very predictable cycle with this person. I feel like every single time you're disappointed by them, I feel like there's a part of you that goes, that makes sense. They showed me that this is who they are. And maybe there's moments of hope. I'm not saying this person just sucks. And especially if you're a cross watcher, bear with me, because we're going to tell your story too. But I'm not just saying this person sucks. Like, obviously there's a reason that you're holding on to this. There have been glimpses of hope. There's a reason you see the potential. But one thing that my therapist once told me that absolutely changed my life forever was the way that you can tell whether a relationship is healthy or not is the 80-20 rule. If 80% of the time things are good and 20% of the time things are bad, because there's always going to be challenges, there's always going to be issues in relationships, then that means it's a pretty good relationship. But if 80% of the time things aren't so good and 20% of the time they are, and you're spending the majority of your time wishing that they were better, that's when you have to take an honest look at the connection and say, is this beneficial for me, my mental and emotional well-being, or is this taking away from me to where not only can I not give myself what I need, but I can't show up in this world in the way that I want to and am supposed to. Because you have been waiting on this person when the whole time your soul has been waiting on you. So try and look at things from that perspective here. Sagittarius's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Sagittarius's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Sagittarius's side of this connection. One more message for Sagittarius's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. I can candle you if you'd rather. Probably what we'll do next reading. I want to know, Sagittarius, why you think that all of the pressure lies on you. It feels as if this connection puts a lot of pressure on you. Maybe pressure to be perfect or pressure to be everything for this person, but while accepting nothing for yourself. This is some sort of a childhood trauma or experience here that's coming up through this connection, and it's something about, it could be perfectionism, or it could be being a fixer. Maybe you feeling like you have to fix people, or you feeling like giving up on someone makes you feel guilty because there's a part of you that thinks that you're here to fix or save people. I don't know, but there's something about that. No, Miss Cassie, no ma'am. There's something about that is needing to be addressed. I know, I'm so mean. Because I feel like that is never, with the Chariot in reverse, that is not getting you anywhere. But there's a part of yourself that feels like you have to, it's like fix somebody else in order for you to be valued and loved. Oftentimes when we do feel that way, though, we're often trying to fix ourselves through other people too. Okay, baby girl, you have got to lay down. But let's transition here. We are already 27 minutes into this reading. You are making this go so slow. It's just today, the whole process. That's not your fault, though. I don't blame you. And yes, I do talk to my dog as if they're dogs, as if they are human beings. And I know that they don't understand a thing that I'm saying. Or maybe they do. I don't know. Who knows how they read energy. All right. This is for this person's energy towards Sagittarius: lies and partial truths with the Justice in reverse. This person's energy towards Sagittarius. This person's energy towards Sagittarius. One more. This person's energy toward Sagittarius, please. This person's energy toward Sagittarius. They know you're frustrated with them. But it kind of feels like, going to this Justice in reverse card, like taking that into account, it kind of feels like they don't know why. Like in their mind, I feel like they're doing the best they can. But I actually don't think they are. Maybe they're doing the best that they know how. I mean, everyone's doing the best that they know how right now. But I believe that if we aren't taking accountability for the way that we are affecting other people, then we're not really doing the best we can. She's like, what about how you're affecting me? I just feel like there is a lot that this person needs to be honest with themselves about, so that they can be honest with you. This person's energy toward Sagittarius. This person's energy toward Sagittarius, please. Two of Pentacles in reverse, Queen of Pentacles in reverse, and Five of Cups. So yeah, they are, ooh, and then the Seven of Swords, the Empress in reverse, the Two of Swords in reverse. Okay. They're not only are they not prioritizing this connection, but they're aware of that. They're aware that they're not prioritizing this in the way that you deserve. Now, granted, with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, it kind of feels like they're in a pretty unstable place in their own life. Because they know that, I feel like they're fully aware that they're upsetting you. But that's what's frustrating, is I feel like they know they're upsetting you, but yet they're telling you what you want to hear so that you stick around, but stay in this Five of Cups. Because I don't feel like they want to lose this. I also don't feel like they want to do what's necessary to make this work. Now, I'm not saying they're a bad person. I just think that I don't think that they're at a place where they can prioritize this connection right now. But if that's the case, then again, it just kind of feels like they need to be honest about that. And maybe they have been, but then you have this partial truth. Like maybe they're like, I don't have what it takes to be in this or to prioritize this, or, I'm not good enough for you, or whatever the case is. But then it feels like they're looking for sympathy, but they're not doing anything to fix it. That's what it is. They're looking for sympathy, but they're not doing anything to fix it. Bear with me. Hey, you, my lady, are making me very sad. Like, ditto, mom. All right, this, and yes, I do talk back for them. My boyfriend and I do it all the time. This person's energy towards Sagittarius. Is that more comfortable? This person's energy towards Sagittarius, or is this an escape plan? This person's energy toward Sagittarius, please. Hey, you're not going anywhere. I'm sorry, guys. Trust me, this isn't fun for anybody involved. I like having her with me, but this person's energy toward Sagittarius. This person's energy toward Sagittarius, please. I like having her with me, but I just wish it wasn't because she's hurting. Oof, there's a Justice in reverse. Okay. So things aren't going so well for this person right now. I don't feel like they have a lot. I mean, seeing the Queen of Pentacles in reverse and the Four of Wands in reverse, I don't feel like their life is going very well. But then saying the Justice in reverse again, right? Same Justice in reverse is right there. It also feels like they're not taking accountability for the role that they've played. It kind of feels like a really big victim mentality is what it feels like. Now, I'm not saying this person isn't a victim. I'm not saying they haven't been through it, but I also feel like it's one of those things where, you get into a connection with someone, they treat you poorly over and over and over again. You finally set boundaries and they go, I told you I wasn't good enough. I told you, I would mess this up. And it's like, but that it's like they make you feel guilty for no longer being able to withstand their treatment. I don't know. I don't, seeing this lack of accountability like twice is a really big indicator that they're not in a place in their life where they're actually willing to change. Because for someone to be willing to change, they have to take accountability for the fact that they need to. So you're waiting on them to change. You're waiting on them to take accountability for the way that they've hurt you. Maybe it's just you're waiting on them to come to you and be like, man, Sagittarius, I really messed up, so that you can be like, F off. I don't know. But I do know that you're waiting on them to take accountability and potentially even change. Yet they're telling you over and over again, whether through their movements, choices, and decisions, that they're not willing to. And that has nothing to do with you. This person is just running from their own stuff. This person's energy towards Sagittarius. This is a long reading. This person's energy towards Sagittarius, please. This person's energy towards Sagittarius, please. The Moon in reverse, the Eight of Cups, or Eight of Pentacles. Okay. This person's pretty deep in their shadow side right now, letting their shadow kind of control their movements, choices, and decisions. Now, the shadow aspect of us, if you're not familiar, it's that side of us that we're maybe not really aware of. And within that also exists the part of us that we're really not the most proud of. The part of us that's the most triggered, the part of us that's the most traumatized. And when we allow our shadow to dictate our movements, choices, and decisions, it will not turn out well for us. Because when we allow our shadow to control us, that means we are not allowing the part of us that is healed to have a say. And healing is the way we stop hurting ourselves. Healing is the way out of suffering. I had someone comment and say something like, "Isn't struggling the point of life?" Yes. Struggling and growing from that is the point of life, but struggling and suffering are not the same thing. You can struggle without suffering. But oftentimes we create our own suffering by allowing our unhealed side of us to decide for us. So that's kind of what they're doing right now. The energy that they're putting into their life and specifically in their relationships is coming from their shadow. And I feel like that is why, like, a lot of their, people lack accountability because they don't want to face the part of themselves that they don't love, right? The part of themselves that they're not proud of. They don't want to face who they really are. People don't run or don't treat other people poorly because they feel good about themselves. People don't treat other people poorly because they love who they are. People treat other people poorly because of the opposite. They don't love who they are. They're not proud of, themselves. They don't like who they are. Now the problem is when those people who don't feel good about themselves start to make that everybody else's problem. And I feel like that's what this person has done. They lack the healing, they lack the emotional awareness, but somehow it's your fault for not being able to fix them or heal them or put up with that. I think that we should love people through all stages of their healing, absolutely. But we also have to remember that unconditional love does not equal unconditional tolerance. Just loving someone through what they, for who they are and where they're at, does not mean we have to tolerate their behavior or negative treatment. This person's energy towards Sagittarius, please. It's going to be over an hour long reading. This person's energy towards Sagittarius, please. Like watching a movie. This person's energy towards Sagittarius. Here's their past. That's what it is. Their burdens, their past burdens, their baggage is what's disappointing you. And maybe you're like, yeah, I know that. But this is why they have it upright, you have it upside down, is because they are putting this on you. You're taking it and they're putting it on you. And that, Sagittarius, their burdens, their trauma, their emotional unavailability, that is not your burden to bear. And the more that you try to take on somebody else's burdens, the more that you will end up disappointed. Because you cannot heal other people. You cannot do for them what they are not willing to do for themselves. And if this person is not willing to take accountability for their actions, and taking accountability goes further than just being aware. Being able to say, yeah, I messed up, is different from being able to say, yeah, I messed up, and here's what I'm doing to change that behavior. That's the difference between awareness and accountability. Being like, yeah, I messed up, and then not doing anything about it is not actually self-awareness at all. Baby girl, you are insane. You're driving me insane. I'm really nervous she's going to try to jump out if I don't fix her. And then she got hurt her leg even more. All right, last one. This person's energy towards Sagittarius. So it looks like I have a child with me. This person's energy towards Sagittarius, please. Yes, I kind of do. I'm just kidding. Here's what's interesting is with the Nine of Cups, I actually feel like this connection is something that they desire. But then they have this Page of Cups in reverse, which to me is this emotional unavailability that doesn't allow them to have it. So again, their shadow side is controlling them, right? So there's the healed version, the part of them that wants to give and receive love. That part of them is like, yes, I want this connection. I want, this connection with Sagittarius. I want to make this work. But then this shadow side of them is saying, you're not deserving of love. You're not good enough for this. You're not, whatever the case is. And they're allowing that part of them to be the controlling, the controlling decision. And I feel like their emotional unavailability, you've taken on as your burden. And that has kept you in this cycle of disappointment that is needing to be addressed. All right, Sagittarius, 42 minutes in. We are going to hop on over to the extended. I'm going to look at the truth of this connection, which is, what is the purpose of this connection? What is the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self? I'm going to pull 9 different messages. Then I have an advice card to pull at the very end. Thank you guys thanks for putting up with me, guys. I know that I don't sit still very much, but I'm very cute and I have a lot of love to give. So, all right. Thank you, Sagittarius, as always, for your support of my channel. I do hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing on your journey moving forward. All right. Bye, Sagittarius.